Hi everyone. So today we're just going to go over how we can add. I can't talk anymore. I've been doing this for 4 hours. We're going to be going over how to add images into P5, as well as how to add them onto sprites using the P5 Play library. So let's do it. Real quick, before I get into all of that, I have the online textbook for this class. I'll put that in the description after the fact, after I'm done recording. Um, but I've got, almost like step by step instructions for how to go about what we'll be doing today. Before I get into that, I do want to, draw everyone to this page right here. Um, right here, and this will obviously be on the screen for a bit, so you can always pause it and copy it. But I've got this line of HTML code um, that I have located in this chapter here. I'm going to copy it, but you need this to make sure that you have the P5 Play library included in your sketch. Otherwise, a lot of what I'm going to do just won't work, and then that'll be a waste of time. So let's do that. To get that in, I'm going to open up the HTML file for this sketch, and I'm just going to drop this line that I copied right on line 6. That's it. We've now included the P5 Play library in our sketch, and we don't have to worry about that anymore for this sketch. All right, so let's do some stuff. Actually, I shouldn't have closed that, but I'm going to save this. There we are. So this little window I opened up here, that's the file editor. Um, by default, there are these 3 files here. I'm not going to go into what they all do right now. That's a whole different video. But we can add additional assets to this file editor for us to use. Keep in mind that there is a limit to how much stuff you can have loaded in on your P5 account. So that can be problematic if you get things super full. So just FYI. You can also host some things online. That's a little more intensive, and things can go wrong a little bit easier if things get moved or links get broken. But that doesn't take up any space right here. So that could be useful. I'll make a whole other video about ways to do that, and we'll go from there. But what I want to point out now for this one, this will show how to load the files directly into the sketch. So if you notice where it says sketch files right here, this little triangle, if you click on it, it opens up this window of create folder, create file, upload file. I'm going to say create folder. And I'm going to name this images. And boom, we now have images right here. So you notice that this is now empty. This triangle, when it's pointing just like kind of normal UI stuff, when it's pointing towards images, it's closed. If you click it and the triangle points down, then that would open up any files that were located in there. What we can do now is go to this new triangle that popped up, and you can either create a subfolder or files, or upload files, change the name of the folder, and things like that. I'm going to upload a file. So these can be whatever you want. It's recommended that they be small. So what I'm going to do, I have saved on my desktop a bunch of sprites for this class I teach, but you can drag and drop or click, click to use the file browser. I'm going to click to use the file browser this time. To use the sprite images, let's go with planets. All right. Let's go with ice. I just found these free resources online. We can just look for free sprites and make sure that you don't redistribute them. But it is now loaded this ice.png into the file. Again, because of the limited space, you don't want this to be a huge file, so the smaller the better. Once it's there, I'm going to close this out. And now if we click next to this big triangle, you'll see that inside of the images folder, we have ice.png. That's going to be useful. So let's actually use this. Let's I'm going to start by putting this on the background. Like background image here. And if you've never loaded in external files into P5, this is going to be something new for you, but I'm going to call a new function preload. And what this function does, if you're not familiar with it, is it takes essentially any assets that you need, you can load them up in preload, so that way they're already in the available to the sketch before it even setup runs. So that way you don't run into an issue where you're trying to run something later in your code, but P5 hasn't found all of the images or the sound files yet, and you get errors and things don't work, even if your code down below is formatted properly. So this could potentially make your sketch take just a little longer to load up, but it'll save you errors down the line. So this is where I'm going to load up the image. So in here I'm going to say background image. It's going to be assigned the result of load image. And we're just going to say it's going to be images slash ice with a capital I dot png. I think I've got that. Let's see if we get an error. This is where we refer back to the textbook just to make sure that everything is formatted right. Let my image preload images slash I just misspelled this. So this is why I do this live, so we can run into errors and fix them. So I'm going to rename this. You have to have everything spelled as perfectly, between everything as you can. So IMAGES images. There. If this file path is not spelled the same as it is up here, then you're gonna run into issues. So again, you want in this case, it's gonna be the name of the folder / if you have any subfolders, folder / folder inside that folder, and so on, all the way down to file. So in this case, it's just one image in a file. So it's images, the name of our folder / ice.png, the name and extension of the file we want to load. So let's load that. Why is this being mean to me? Should this be a string and I just messed up in the textbook? We're going to find out. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is, now we have ideally loaded this image into the variable background image. So if we want to see it, we just have to use that. So background image. I do need to update the textbook. This has to be a string. Yeah, I'll have to update that right there. That's okay. That's easy to do after the fact. This is why we troubleshoot stuff. But now I've got this kind of pixel art icy planet right here that we've loaded into the sketch by using load image. I've stored it inside of a variable background image, and we're using that in the background. So that's how we have this here. Let's go about changing images. So I'm going to add in a second one, background. I'm going to change this to 1, 1, 1, just so we can tell these apart. And background image 2. It's not the best naming scheme for these, but it'll work. So let's pull up another thing. So I'm going to click on the triangle next to my folder, upload file. I'm going to use the file browser again. Let's make it a lava I'll do the Terran planet instead. It's gonna load up. Once you get that little check mark, it'll go there. If your folder's open, you'll see it pop up right there. So get that. So now let's say background image 2 gets assigned load image, and we're gonna load images slash Terran.png. I've got that there. So let's just add a quick conditional. If mouse is pressed, then background bg image 2, else background bg image 1. So I think we should be able to remove that. No changes here, but now if I click the mouse, and we get the error because I can't spell background. So now we get this changing every time I click the mouse. So do. All right. So again, what we've done is just taken these images, loaded them in using load image and preload. Right here, just gave them a name in the variable, and then we're just using that like a normal variable throughout our code. In this case, it's the background. Now let's stick this on a sprite. All right, so let's go ahead and make a sprite. I'm going to call this my sprite right here. I'm gonna make the sprite first, and then we'll add the image. So my sprite is going to be create sprite. I'm going to stick this right in the middle for now. And then down here at the very bottom, we're going to draw all the sprites. There's our sprite. Yay. Again, all this stuff is in the P5 Play library, which I'll have a description link in the description about that, but you can install that via the link I did at the very beginning. But all right, let's do this. Let's, just like before, I'm going to go images, to do upload file, click to use the file browser. I'm going to pick something different. Let's make this. I haven't looked at all of these, to be completely honest. Slime. That's not individual sprites. Oh, what a fun little slime. Boom. All right. Upload there. I recommend PNGs because you can set them to have transparent backgrounds. That's my suggestion. Obviously, it just depends on what you're wanting to do, but I just think it works a little bit easier that way. So let's add in this image. I should make a variable for it. Let slimy. All right. So now slimy gets assigned load image, images slash, and then we get, it is called, so you notice it gets kind of cut off here. What we can do is just rename this something. Since at this point we're only having one, I'm just going to rename it slime. Slime.png. So we've done that there. So now we've loaded in the third image, but we haven't done anything with it yet. So we can go in here, now that we've made the sprite, say my sprite dot add image. So now we can go in and we first have to give our image a name. I'll call this slime, and then what we want to load in, so slimy. And did I get it backwards? Do, 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 do. Oh, yeah. Just like before, this needs to be a string. And ooh, that is tiny. Let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger. Which one was the making it bigger? So what, we'll do that this way. P5.play development reference. Is it under sprite? I think it'll be under animation. That's one of these. Where'd it go? Scale, there it is. All right, so we can just say, that's what this should do, is then say my sprite dot scale equals 2. Oh yeah, let's make it 5. Boom. A little bit bigger. Sometimes this can screw with the resolution, but you'll notice that once you add an image to the sprite, then the sprite will automatically resize to fit the boundaries of this image. So you may have to play with the scale to get it to look how you want. Now with this background, it's a little hard to see, so well, that's not that much better. But we can see our sprite now has this unique image set to it for the sprite. The last little bit is we can also change the image on a sprite. So let's do that. Just before, I'm going to add a file. I'm going to pick something that looks very different. PDM sprite images. What's in here? Okay, these are gonna look very different from each other, but it'll work for this. You'll see that the images are changing. All right, so again, I'm gonna rename this something a little easier. Advin, short for adventurer. All right, last one. Sprite image 2. Sprite image 2 is going to load that image. And that is in images /advin.png. There we are. I'm going to go down here and say my sprite.addImage. Give it the name adventure. That's not a quotation mark. And it's going to be sprite image 2. So now we've got that. So by default, we already have the one image on there, so we've got that. But now we've added a different one. And you'll notice, again, we're giving each of these a name right here as a string, so we can refer to this image as by this name. So I'm going to make this the same thing of if the mouse is pressed, we're going to change the background and the sprite at the same time, just for the sake of time. So my sprite dot change image, and then we should just do, I believe I typed that as a string. If not, we're going to find out. and then else my sprite dot change image slime. So now let's see. Boop. And there we go. That worked perfectly. So when I don't have the mouse pressed at all, we get the icy planet with the fairly big slime here. And then when I click the mouse, we get the Earth-like planet with the little adventurer guy sprite right there. So that's just one way we can go in and add in images and set all of this up. Put them either in the background of our sketches or put them specifically on sprites. And you can also change and update these in your code. There's a little technical difficulties going through here, but we managed to get 4 different images loaded into here inside of Preload. Get them applied into our, with our sprite, and then utilize all 4 of them in a dynamic way right here. See, this was just a quick, simple, if the mouse is pressed, do some stuff. You can make your tests as specific and complex as you need. Later on, we'll be going in and actually creating animations of multiple pictures all at once. So that way we get things that are kind of moving around on the screen, but you can still change and update all of that as we go. One other thing I will say is that if you do host your images online somewhere in a place where they can be accessed, instead of typing in this local file right here as a string, you're going to go in and just type in the URL. So just to show that real quickly so I can say I covered all my bases, I'm going to put this as a comment because this won't be an actual web page. But let's see. Just so I can say that's all there. Let's see. Web image would get assigned image. And instead of there, it'll be as a string as well. And we're just going to type out the URL of that. So https:// fake image site / example image.jpg. There you go. That's what you would type if that was, or fake image site .net, whatever. There you go. You just type out the URL as the string, and then the computer will go pull that off of right there. Everything else will be exactly the same. So I just wanted to stick that in there, and I guess just so I have up here, let web image. There you go. All right, covered all my bases. All right, that's it for this one. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out, and I will answer those questions as they come. Everyone have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.